Source hunters, eh? All right, proper, we're finally getting a hand. Things is chaos. If you've got a favourite sheep, best to fry her up now before she gets thieved in the night like me dear plump Ogget, the finest in me herd. Yes. Oh, Ogget's been missing for more than a fortnight. I love that sheep, you know. Was planning to cook her into a fine midwinter night haggis myself. Do tell me if you hear anything about her. I plan on pursuing whoever stole her with my cleaver in hand.
Hello again. Terribly sorry, Source Hunter, but I seem to be fresh out of priceless relics for you to destroy. That strange reaction you caused. Blue lightning.
To what do I owe the repeated pleasure, Source Hunter? The world belongs to the young, they say, and Boris will live to take his piece. Thank you for your help in this matter. Well, she certainly possesses a I expect she'll be a very successful She's gotten hold of a stone, but she claims to have got utter rubbish, I say. But with these blasted undead haunting the... Yes. She's in the other room as we speak. Perhaps you can prevail upon her to offer a demonstration. Certainly. What would you like to know?
Where's young Esmeralda these days? She has the softest lap to lay in. Wait, Whiskers! You found my collar? Oh, thank you! Bless you! I shall don it right this instant and hie me to Maxine as fast as my paws can carry me. You have made me the happiest cat in the world! Indeed you have!
Providing you can afford it, I'll be happy to supply you with all the gear you'll need while swinging swords alongside the Fabulous Five.
Whatever happened to that troop of eager imbeciles we sent to the northern cave?
Do I seem like the sort who concerns myself with such things?
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that reward money won't be lining your pockets.
my love, look at me. I'm wearing it. The collar I told you about. The one you told me was but the fancy of a dream. Here it is. A band of jewels, such as no one in Sicile has ever beheld.
Dear me, that choker looks absolutely fabulous on you. Simply smashing. I can't believe it's real. Oh, darling Sam, you are a Tom of Means after all.
That I am, my little tigress. Behold my true collar and marry me. Make me yours, and my very life I shall dedicate to your happiness.
Oh, what a passionate puss you are, my darling Sam. As impetuous as ever. But indeed you do seem to have the right and reason to be. Oh, I shall hold you in suspense no longer. Yes, my dear Sam, I will marry you.
With a word, you have stopped my heart and set it beating anew with untold vigor. Come, my love, my lean-tailed lady. By the fire of the hearth, let us lie and purr the night away.
And so Sam's story has a happy end after all. Does she, though? She said yes the instant she saw the jewels in his collar. If it weren't for his wealth, she wouldn't have given him the time of day.
It is a pity indeed to see how this treasure of a cat, this pinnacle of nature's beauty, has been corrupted by the wretched mores of man. Base materialism has darkened the purity of her soul and has seized the very throne where love should rest. Let the story of Sam and his beloved serve as an example of this bitter truth. Between two humans, no love is unconditional. So strongly does this sad depravity seep from our every pore that it adulterates the innocence of what should be stainless spirits. We suffer from the inability to bestow love devoid of logic, devotion devoid of design. Wealth, status, prestige, the carnality of flesh and fortune. Those are the true motivators of the affections between a woman and a man.
He should be so lucky as to be defeated by Alistair the Great.
They say he's privy to ancient and arcane secrets.
Love. It is the name we give a base ambition, a delusion we blindly compel to be true and therefore falsely hold to be absolute. Pity love, and be wary of her too, for she is but a deception. An astonishment I share. Though at least one of you has come to realize that love is but the vagary of fantasies, the intemperance of puerile minds. I shall not deny that my mind too was puerile once, that I too loved a woman with all my soul, believing her to be... Ah, enough. Forget what I said. Dig love a grave, and there let it rot.
Oh, you haven't left town yet, have you? Jolly good. Join me, why don't you, for a scandalously milky saucer of feral leaf tea? Oh, my dearest, dearest Sam. He's positively the tenderest tomcat in the world, and you are the most darling of sweethearts for having reunited him with the wealth he lost to the waves. I met him a pauper, but married him a prince. As a stray did he besiege my heart, but as a sovereign he won it, as a Caesar among cats. A life of love and cheer we owe you.
Is not love a wonderful thing, my friend? The greatest fortune of animals and humans alike? We are married, my friend. Can you believe it? Oh, how blissfully happy we are. Legions of litters we'll have, she and I. There'll be tiny Sams and mini Maxines on every roof and in every garden of Sicil. Frolicking felines. What a feeling. Meow.
The hunter returns! I hope you are here to shop rather than sleuth.
The hunter returns! I hope you are here to shop rather than sleuth. Starstone? I've never heard of such a thing. Dear Jake had a mineral collection, yes. As far as I knew, it was one of his pastimes, nothing more. Do you mean to imply he collected something dangerous? Something that may have gotten him into trouble? Oh, this is all too much. I feel like I'm drifting from nightmare into nightmare. Listen, if you're going to accuse me of something, you would better find the evidence to back up your ridiculous claims. Oh, don't put stock in the hastily scribbled words of a lovelorn fool. This letter, it was a show of passion. A poorly worded passion I did not echo in the least. The Duke, he's like a spoiled child. He's not a man. He's not like Septimus.
Lucky find!
Your return marks a victory, Hunter. We'll vanquish our foes yet.
Murder within the walls, undead outside the walls. And here we legionnaires sit, twiddling our thumbs.
You, again. Do feel free to depart from sight, if you must. I'd say they're looking for weak spots in our defenses. They can't make an attack over land for fear of Ahu's magical machines.
Divines doubly bless you, friend.
I will never love again.
Seal is far more fair from here than from Reginald's wretched podium.
Stefan, Stefan, Stefan! I will never forget you.
To bemuscle you, scrolls to entrap you.
About setting up the perfect crime.
Esmeralda has interesting taste in literature.
So that's what that did.
Esmeralda's a funny character. She's always got ham on the brain. I've never been inside her secret room, but I bet it's full of hams too. I'd go in and see if I were tall enough to reach the button. Say!
Bloody dagger. Could this have been involved in the crime?
It certainly piques one's interest, doesn't it?
Esmeralda's a funny
The hunter returns! I hope you are here to shop rather than sleuth. So, what piece of irrefutable evidence are you about to present me with this? Oh, that horrid tome of ill repute. It isn't mine, it was Jake's. He was a politician, don't you see? Always on the lookout for plotting rivals. Always trying to be one step ahead. Really, I should have thought a source hunter of all people would appreciate my dear husband's sense for survival. Perhaps it is you who should explain your presence in my cellar. And the dagger? It's simply a butcher knife used by my late husband to cut meat. He did so love to cook, the dear. What'll you think of next? Accusing me of bashing him over the head with a frying pan? But all of it is circumstantial. I've a perfectly logical explanation for every piece of so-called evidence against me, and yet you've been trailing me like a bloodhound. People seem to want to believe I am guilty, so let me tell you something I've been keeping to myself. Perhaps it may yet lead to the true culprit. Over the last few months, Jake grew distant. Distant and dark somehow. Something in him changed. I can't quite put my finger on it, but he was no longer the gentleman he used to be. In fact, he scared me. It all began the day he met Evelyn, Master Theliron's apprentice. She healed him of what we all believed to be a fatal wound he suffered hunting boars. I think he became obsessed by her, or obsessed by the secrets I just know she holds. Talk to this woman. There is more to her than meets the eye. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she belongs to that sect. You know, to those who worship a goddess without name and practice rituals of blood. I never liked her from the moment I met her. Men cannot see past her beauty, but I have gazed her in the eye and it was death that leered back at me. She hails from Silverglen, a village in the forest north of Sicil. How she made it past the undead without a Legion escort, I'll never know. Though I can hazard an eerie guess. If anyone killed my Jake, it must be her. She had her claws in him for many long months, and finally she must have cut too deeply.
Ooh!
That tone, soothing a corpse's troubled mind. Can't have gotten far. To what do I owe the repeated pleasure, Source Hunter? Far be it from her to tell her master what in the seven's name she's up to. The girl flew from here like she just heard the location of the Philosopher's Stone. She even left her pouch unattended in the next room. Most unlike her, to be sure. She usually keeps it within sight at all times. Very strange she'd leave it behind. It's in the next room if you'd like to take a look. I'd try her house, for starters. It's not far from here. I'll mark the location on your map.
Evelyn has a hideout somewhere along the northwestern beach.
Seems to me that should be the next stop in our investigation.
So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging through the docks? Or have those infernal statues sent another soul flying to his death? This here's my family business. Yes, there's been a Roberts escorting stiffs into the next life since the foundation of Seal itself. They don't write epics about morticians, but I'm proud of my work nonetheless. Sad story, that. Though if I'm speaking plainly, the sentimental aspect of it all doesn't make much of an impression on an undertaker. Especially not these days, with so many laid low by the orcs and such like. I just concern myself with giving the remains a respectable exit from life. We set him to rest in the northern graveyard. Perhaps he can finally get a little peace. What about it? Didn't I just say we gave it a respectable send-off? Why are you giving me the 3rd degree? Now, if you don't mind, I'm trying to run a business here.
The death man is nervous as a squirrel. I'm certain he's hiding something.
You may be right. I suspect he has much more than mere skeletons hiding in his closets.
We'll have
That's enough. Fate is an ice cold mistress.
So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging? So, what's the bad news?
Here lies Jacques, the oldest man in Sicil.
May the
Get off
seven
my grave,
keep
you
you.
jackanapes. Here lies James, as usual, the filthy fibber. Here lies Jake. Please do not disturb.
That shovel has proven worth its weight, it seems.
Oh, for the seven's sake. Those shining eyes are better fit for a puppy than a source hunter.
What trickery is this? That's not Jake.
It's a rotting sheep's corpse. It seems someone snatched Jake's body.
May the seven keep you.
Wow, that dead sheep smells pretty great. I mean, wow. But it's nothing compared to Jake. Seems like some mutt is marking my territory. Join you? No way. I mean, you smell pretty great. Even better than the dumpster behind the butcher's house. But the town is full of scary stuff like body snatchers and bathtubs. Without my best friend, the most awesome Jake ever, here to protect me, I'd rather stay far away. Just bring those smelly items to me here. If I ever find out who killed Jake, the most awesome Jake, someone stole Jake. Jake stole my ball once, but then he threw it far, and I went and I got it. And Jake was awesome. Listen, if you go around town and find someone who you think might have done it, bring me a really stinky something of theirs. And I'll see if I can smell Jake on it. An awesome smell. I couldn't mistake it. Esmeralda? Ugh, terrible smell. Like flowers and soap. Not awesome. Ugh, hated her. Aureus is kind of awesome. Evelyn, too. They both have a sweaty, dead thingy smell. Cecil, he's all right, I guess. Mostly, he smells like old books, which is neither awesome nor non-awesome. Bring me anything of theirs, and I'll be able to tell you if I can sniff out Jake's smell on them. Jake has the best smell. I'd know it anywhere. Did you find something for me to stick my nose into? Wow, that dead sheep smells pretty great. I mean, wow. But Esmeralda, Jake has the best smell.
So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging through the docks? Or have those infernal statues sent another soul flying to his death? How do you... Ah, the ledger, is it? Fool was I to leave it in the open. Or perhaps I even looked forward to being found out. Well, as you know, I have my suspects in the matter. What would you like to know? Plenty of us shopkeepers entrust the mayor with the spare keys to our businesses, you know. And he's the only person in town with a second copy of the key to the mortuary. He could have used it to sidle in without a peep, if he were so inclined. Aureus himself paid me a visit the night the body was delivered. Came rapping at my door in the frosty morning before the sun had even started peeping, and told me to tell him, and only him, if I noticed anything strange or suspicious about the remains. Can't see why he'd bothered to go through all that trouble, unless he knew something the rest of us don't. I know it sounds strange suspecting the doctor's apprentice of something so ghoulish as this, but there's few in this city could manage to transport a corpse without raising eyebrows. It was she who delivered Jake's body from the inn to the mortuary, and there was something about her that night, some kind of excitement. Seemed she could barely contain her thoughts, that there was something thrilling about to happen. I can't quite settle it in my mind how a young medical professional would have such a strange reaction to an occasion such as that. And this may or may not have anything to do with the whole rigmarole. But her master, Dr. Theleron, bought an old shack of mine, one overtaken by undead, for an exorbitant price considering what he was getting. I never did figure what he wanted it for, but he sure seemed eager. I never saw a widow less distraught at the death of her husband, and I've seen hundreds pass through my parlor. It was she who rang my bell just before the body was snatched, lured me outside claiming she needed air, before discussing the funeral arrangements. Some accomplice could have sneaked in and grabbed the remains while I was comforting the oh-so-overcome Esmeralda. That gold's the only good thing to come out of this blasted affair, and I certainly plan on making some use of it. You know, I reckon Bertia really didn't get a fair shake in all this, did she? Here, take the money and give it to her. Times are hard enough as they are.
Source hunters, eh? Or right proper with if you've got a favourite sheep. Oh, Ogre, you're rotten to the bone. Oh, me poor, sweet, plump girl. You've been wasted entirely. All that roast, all the mutton, not even the sausage grinder will want her now. Give her here, will you? Me little mouldering darling. That louse. Did he even bother grilling a single luscious chop? I bet he wasted every last morsel. Captain Aureus will have a thing or two to say about this.
This is intolerable. The momentum of time is slipping through our hands, and you fritter it away on conversations about decomposing matter. Focus, Source Hunter, focus!
by Parbatha's silver talons must we linger so? An idle brain is a demon's workshop, Hunter. I can tell you if you wish, but you'd have to listen to the tale of my life, because my future, such as it is rooted deeply into my history. So I shall. Once upon a time, I was a king in a land of beauty to the east. A land of tigers and slender towers, of deserts and forests, of sun and all the world's wealth. I was a young king, handsome and all-powerful. Every nobleman would have killed his own brother if I promised to take his daughter's hand in marriage. But I refused their incessant implorations. I knew my life as a sovereign would be self-indulgent, but also a self-delusory one, if I weren't to marry for love. And so a handful of years went by. The king's throne I myself occupied, whereas the queen's throne remained empty but for the court's cats that would nap the afternoons away upon its velvet cushions. But then one day, a young woman visited my kingdom. She was a poetess and a storyteller. People flocked to her, listened to her every word as if receiving mantras from the divines. I invited her to my palace, and soon our days, our nights, our love and our lives intertwined. Hiraka. How I miss her still. Miss the brilliance of her mind that was both as sparkling and as unbreakable as the diamonds that adorned her body. Oh, and how I miss her body. 1,000 artists I could have commanded, show me beauty. But she would have effortlessly surpassed their every endeavor, and curving her lips into a smile, make them break their sculptures in tearful impotence. And yet, true happiness, that commodity more precious and even more fleeting than the dominion of kings, sang to us like the nightingale, only to depart come the dawn of our first year's unity. A malady overtook me, and I began to wither. It was an unparalleled horror. Scores of physicians flocked to my bedside. They traveled from realms across the seas, hoping to cure the mighty Jehan, undo the gloom that had befallen the land, and mere vultures that they were, to be paid handsomely for their efforts. But none of their potions took effect. Their salves seared, but did not soothe my fading flesh. Like a ghoul I looked, unburied yet risen from the grave. In futile anger I struck my mirror, but broke my brittle fingers only, not its ever-mocking surface. That, Hunter, is a tale for later. I realize I haven't answered your initial question yet. Why it is that I chase time like a lioness its prey. But we'll get to that part later, should time permit. Yes, let's get this over with. May they be pertinent, Hunter.
Like an actor just waiting for his big debut.
I told you to forget. By bugger's claws, I told you. But no, I'll not be baited into pointless bickering. Your inquiry does me a discourtesy, even if that was not your intent. Let me therefore reiterate my most pressing request not to dwell on this matter. Should in due time our confidentiality grow, or circumstances demand the revelation of matters I'd otherwise keep concealed, I shall then confide in you. As it stands, due time has not yet come to pass. More prey awaits.
Who would have thought it? Jehan, an all-powerful king, stricken by a horrid plague, the memory of which plagues him still. The higher your station, the deeper you may fall. He may live, but clearly Jehan is a king no longer.
The hunter returns! I hope you are here to shop rather than sleuth. So, what piece of irrefutable evidence are you about to— I never liked she hail. If anyone killed my Jake, it must be her.
Greetings! These stores are for our Legion troops. Riverland's finest work up mighty fine appetite, serving 7.
Mr. Head Honcho Legionnaire! The Source Hunter says that creep Robert stole my sheep.
And?
Well, aren't you going to arrest that stinking thief?
I'll have a talk with him, madam. Ah, the Source Hunter. Oh, joyous hour. Oh, still not finished with that sorry matter? Well, have you found any incriminating evidence against her? If so, let's have it. It was stolen? Gods, what a fool that Roberts is! Taking a bribe in beleaguered old Sicil. Ah, what was he going to do with that gold? Buy the largest kipper in the land? He has a lot to answer for, but not as much as the one that did the bribing in the first place. Guess your mission is pretty clear, isn't it? Off you go to find this munificent body snatcher. What is in her diary certainly seems to implicate she dabbles in sorcery. Well, you're supposed to be the Source Hunter, aren't you? Go hunt some sauce! Oh, still not finished with that sorry— Well, have you found any incriminating evidence against her? If so, let's have it! How to plan the perfect murder. Really? Really? She might as well wear a dress with the words "I killed Jake and I liked it" embroidered on it. But that alone wouldn't suffice to convince me. So convince me, Hunter, and keep looking. Like I said, the girl's known to be a flirt. But that sob of a feral doesn't have the mettle to commit murder. And as far as I'm concerned, neither has she. The knife, the book, the letter, they seem harmless enough by themselves, but in conjunction they do paint a pretty grim picture. Fine then. If you're certain she did it, then I shall have Esmeralda arrested. Your responsibility, Source Hunter. Surely you have exhausted all... You know it was taken, and you claim to know by whom. Evelyn. So go find the damn woman and don't bother me with your prat. Whom would you have the Legion arrest?
The hunter returns! I hope you are here to shop.
Legion's greetings, Hunter. You claim to possess evidence that implicates Lady Esmeralda in the murder of her husband? Used for cookery, was it? Well, that settles it. A perfectly innocent explanation for a perfectly innocent activity. Dearest Esmeralda, I never doubted her. So it was Jake's? Of course. He read it so as to outfox lurking assassins. Alas that it failed him. Alas that it is now used to slander his grieving widow. There now, she was stringing Ferrol along. Ha! A pampered brat, that Duke, just like she says. Barks worse than his bite, no doubt. He'll be gone from here the instant he can, but I'll still be here, steadfast and by Milady's side. I am Septimus, 7th son.
She'll realize soon enough that a little... To what do I owe the repeated pleasure, Source Hunter? Far be it from her to tell her master what in the seven's name she's up to. The girl flew from here like she just heard the... Certainly, what would you like to know? I've applied myself to... I declare it an act of the Almighty's, if I believed in such things. Some events, Source Hunter, can be...
Sauce hunters, eh? All right, proper. If you've got a favourite sheep, best to fry her up. Throwing that hog in the grinder can hardly make up for the loss of my sweet, succulent hogget. But I admit, it softens the sting a bit. I'll buy myself a new lamb and have a fine veal supper in honour of me lost hoggy woggy.
We'll have none of that, you hear? What? Oh, it's you! What news? My dear girl, my darling adopted daughter, my pride and joy. I introduced her to my library when she was a girl. She quickly proved that the preconceptions we humans hold of orcs as savage beasts are patently false. If you're looking for something special, just ask. She knows every book by heart. Papa's smart little cookie. Jake? Murdered, you say? Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Now I remember. Well, I'm sure the facts will prove me innocent. Keep investigating. You'll see for yourselves in time. Maxine? What in heaven's name are you? I spent months trying to teach. I've always been more fond of cats myself.
Woolgraf gives you a knowing look.
He seems to think the mayor is a few arrows short of a quiver.
I hope there are no large predators around, or the mayor may find himself easily hunted.
Hello again, adventurer. I hope you wiped those muddy boots on your way in. Oh, he's always been, for my part, that band of...
We'll have none of that, you hear? What? Oh, it's you!
Fancy that! A source hunter barging in when the lady of the house is fully dressed. Who could have fathomed such a thing?
Sir, you're under arrest for complicity in the murder of Councillor Jake. Please follow me.
What? That's insane. I would never.
Sir, please come quietly, or I'll have to forcefully subdue you.
Fine, fine. There's no need for that. But you must know I am an innocent man.
Peace be with you, traveller. I once lived a prosperous life. Lonely never recovered from the loss. And when a group of mercenaries, predators, more aptly called, came to town dangling the opportunity to annihilate those undead devils, she were killed less than a week after she joined. Here she...
Wow, that dead sheep smells pretty great. I mean, Esmeralda... Jake has the best smell. I'd know it anywhere. I've heard people say that politicians stink. Give me a whiff, and I'll be able to tell you if it's a Jake kind of stink. No, not him. No scent of Jake whatsoever.
It's heating up.
My kingdom for a dry shirt!
Sweet relief.
Bless the seven, I am restored.
Oh, it never rains, but it pours, eh?
Into the fray once more. Stitch of time, eh, my friends?
I prefer to drown my sorrows with ale.
Soaked to the skin!
I will lead your will-powered drive.
Wow, what's this I've spotted?
It's heating up.
I'm tripping.
Toasty.
On the mend.
Soaked to the skin.
I feel better already.
I need to dry off.
I needed that.
Bless the seven, I am restored. I feel better already. Bless the seven, I am restored.
Bless the seven, I am restored. Into the fray once more.
Pushing, pulling, lifting. Look at them muscles, huh? Just like my days at the fair. I used to sail the 7 seas with the best of them. Better than the best of them. But found my true calling at the county fair. The strongest man in Sightseal I was. And they built me as such. Now those were swell times. How people marveled at my feats of strength. Boy, was I the cat's pajamas back then. Anyone could go up against me in a grand old bare-knuckle jamboree, but did they ever best me? Baloney. Now, I'm not a violent guy. Don't get me wrong. Make no mistake. But you know there's no harm in a little roughhousing now and again. Putting on a show for the roaring crowd. Plenty challenged me in those days, but none managed to best Snorri. No, sir. Scrawny against Brawny. Could have been a nice title fight at the fair. Here are the rules, hot chap. I'm gonna summon an item. Something only Snorri himself could smash. And if you can manage to break it in 35 seconds, you'll have won the challenge. Go getting any pie in the sky? Hope so, pally pal. This'll be nothing to sneeze at. Noodle arms. So, what are you made of? Well, you bested me indeed. Think I'll give this place the old 23 skidoo and find a worthy opponent in the Hall of Echoes. Sayonara!